Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Haven and watched the stars through the main window. His ship moved slowly through space near the outer edges of human territory where few people dared to go. The silence felt heavy around him as he drank his morning coffee and checked the daily reports from his crew. The New Haven was not the biggest ship in the human fleet, but it was strong and reliable. Jake had commanded it for 3 years now and knew every sound it made and every vibration that ran through its metal halls. His crew of 60 men and women trusted him completely, and he never let them down. First Officer Lisa Carter walked up to him with a worried look on her face. She held a data pad in her hands, and her eyes showed concern. Lisa had served with Jake for 2 years, and he could always tell when something bothered her. "Captain, we have a problem," she said quietly, so the other crew members could not hear them. "Our sensors picked up a ship about 2 hours away from our current position. It looks damaged, and it is sending out some kind of signal." Jake took the data pad from her hands and looked at the information on the screen. The unknown ship appeared, very small compared to the New Haven, and the energy readings showed it had almost no power left. Whatever had happened to that ship had left it barely able to stay in space. "Do we know who they are?" Jake asked as he handed the pad back to Lisa. "The signal pattern does not match any human ship I know about." Lisa shook her head and looked even more worried. "That is the strange part, Captain. The ship design does not match anything in our databases. It might be alien, but we cannot be sure until we get closer." Jake felt his heart beat faster when he heard the word alien. Humans had been exploring space for many decades, but they had never found another intelligent species. There had been rumors and stories, but no real proof that other thinking beings existed anywhere in the galaxy. "Set course for that ship," Jake told Lisa. "But keep our weapons ready just in case. We do not know what we might find out there." The New Haven changed direction and began moving toward the unknown vessel. Jake called his senior officers to the bridge so they could all see what they were dealing with. Chief Engineer Ben Parker arrived first, followed by Dr. Amy Rodriguez, who ran the medical bay. Communications Officer Helen Brooks came last, carrying her equipment to try and understand any signals from the strange ship. As they got closer, the damaged vessel became clearer on their screens. It looked like nothing any human had ever built, with smooth, curved surfaces that seemed to glow with a soft blue light. Parts of the hull were cracked and broken, and it spun slowly in space like a leaf falling from a tree. "I am picking up life signs," Dr. Rodriguez said as she checked her medical scanners. "There are many beings on that ship, but their biology does not match human patterns. They are definitely alien." Helen Brooks worked at her communication station, trying to understand the signals coming from the damaged ship. After several minutes, she looked up with excitement and fear in her eyes. "Captain, I think they are trying to talk to us," she said. "The signal pattern keeps repeating, and it sounds almost like they are speaking words, but in a language I have never heard before." Jake walked over to Helen's station and listened to the strange sounds coming through the speakers. The voice sounded desperate and scared, but also somehow beautiful, like music made from crystal bells. "Can you try to respond to them?" Jake asked. "Maybe if we send a signal back, they will understand that we are here and willing to help." Helen worked on her equipment for several minutes before she managed to establish a basic communication link. The alien voice became clearer now, and they could hear what sounded like a female speaking in broken human words. "Please help us," the voice said with great difficulty. "Our ship is broken and our people are dying. We have children who need food and medicine. Please do not leave us here in the dark." The entire bridge fell silent as they listened to the alien woman speak. Her words were simple but filled with pain and desperation that touched something deep in every human heart. "My name is Kira," the voice continued. "I am the leader of my people on this ship. We escaped from our home world when the destroyers came. We have been traveling for many days without food or rest. Our children cry from hunger, and some of the old ones have already died." Jake felt his chest tighten as he listened to Kira's words. He could hear the fear in her voice, but also the love she felt for her people. This was a mother trying to save her family and asking strangers for help. "Please," Kira's voice came again through the speakers. "Take me for one night. Just feed my children. I will work for you and serve you in any way you ask. All I want is for my people to survive. Ben Parker stepped closer to Jake and spoke quietly. Captain, we cannot take alien refugees on board without permission from headquarters. The rules are very clear about first contact situations. Dr. Rodriguez disagreed with Ben immediately. Those are living beings out there who need medical help. We took an oath to preserve life wherever we find it. Jake looked around at his crew and saw the conflict in their faces. Some were afraid of the unknown dangers that aliens might bring to their ship. Others felt compassion for the desperate refugees, who had nowhere else to turn. Lisa Carter spoke up from her position near the weapons console. Captain, whatever we decide, we need to do it quickly. That ship will lose all power within the next few hours. If we are going to help them, it has to be now. Jake closed his eyes and thought about all the training he had received about following orders and staying safe. Then he thought about the children Kira had mentioned and the old people who were already dead. He thought about what it meant to be human and what his conscience would tell him for the rest of his life. When he opened his eyes again, Jake Morrison made the decision that would change everything for humans and aliens across the entire galaxy. Open the docking bay, he said in a clear, strong voice. Bring them aboard. The docking bay doors opened slowly, and Jake Morrison watched from the observation deck as the alien ship was pulled inside. The New Haven, the damaged vessel, looked even stranger up close with its blue glowing surface and curved design that seemed to flow like water frozen in time. Ben Parker and his engineering team worked quickly to create a safe connection between the two ships. They had never done this before with an alien vessel, and everyone moved carefully to avoid any dangerous mistakes. Atmosphere is compatible, Dr. Rodriguez announced from her medical station. Their ship has breathable air and normal pressure levels. We can safely open the airlocks. Jake felt nervous as he walked down to the docking bay with Lisa Carter and several security officers. They did not know what to expect when they met these aliens face to face. The communication with Kira had been brief and desperate, but now they would see her people with their own eyes. The airlock opened with a soft hiss of equalizing air pressure, and Jake saw his first alien being step through the door. Kira was tall and thin with skin that looked like it was made from clear crystal. Light seemed to move through her body, creating beautiful patterns of blue and green that shifted as she moved behind. Kira came more of her people, and Jake counted 43 aliens in total, just as she had said. Most were adults, but there were many children among them. The young ones stayed close to the adults and looked around with large eyes that seemed to hold starlight inside them. Aliens moved slowly and carefully as they entered the human ship. Jake could see they were weak from hunger and exhaustion. Some of the older aliens needed help walking, and the children held tightly to adult hands. Thank you, Kira said as she approached Jake. Her voice sounded different in person, more musical than it had through the communication system. You have saved us when no one else would help. Jake looked at this strange, beautiful being who had begged him to take her. People in and felt amazed by her dignity even in desperation. We will do everything we can to help you and your people. He said, My name is Jake Morrison and I am the captain of this ship, Doctor. Rodriguez stepped forward with her medical equipment and began checking the aliens for injuries and illness. She worked gently with each of them and spoke in soft, caring tones, even though they could not understand all her words. They are severely malnourished, she told Jake quietly. Some of the children need immediate care or they will become very sick. Their biology is different from humans, but similar enough that I can help them. Helen Brooks had been monitoring alien communications, and she hurried over to Jake with important news. Captain, I've been listening to broadcasts from across this sector. There are military ships searching for refugees from the Zelani homeworld. That must be what these people are. Kira heard the word Zelani and nodded sadly. Yes, we are Zelani. Our world was destroyed by the Vorthans, who hate all life that is not like them. They hunt us across the stars and kill any who help us escape. Jake felt a chill run through his body when he heard about the Vorthans. If they were hunting these refugees, then the New Haven might be in danger for taking them aboard. How long have you been running? Lisa asked Kira with sympathy in her voice. Many months, Kira replied. We had a larger ship once with more of our people, but it was attacked and destroyed. Only this small group escaped, and we have been searching for a safe place ever since. Ben Parker approached Jake with a concerned expression. Captain, we need to talk about practical matters. Where are we going to put all these people, and how are we going to feed them? Our supplies are not unlimited. Jake had been thinking about the same problems, but he was determined to find solutions. Set up temporary quarters in Cargo Bay 3. It is not comfortable, but it will give them space and privacy. Work with Dr. Rodriguez to find out what kind of food they can eat. Over the next few hours, the human crew worked hard to make their alien guests as comfortable as possible. The Zilani were grateful for every kindness and tried to help in any way they could. Despite their weakness, Kira surprised everyone by asking if she could work in the engineering section with Ben Parker and his team. I know about machines and power systems, she explained. Let me earn our keep while we are here. Ben was hesitant at first, but when Kira began examining some broken equipment, her crystal fingers moved with incredible precision and skill. She seemed to understand the technology intuitively and found problems that human engineers had missed. Amazing, Ben said to Jake later. She fixed 3 major issues in our power grid that we have been struggling with for weeks. Her people might know things about technology that we have never imagined. Meanwhile, Dr. Rodriguez made fascinating discoveries about Zilani biology. Their crystal-like skin could absorb light and convert it into energy like plants did with sunlight. They also needed certain minerals that were found in specific types of star systems. They are perfectly adapted for space travel, she explained to Jake. Their bodies can survive in conditions that would kill humans, but they also need resources that are hard to find. As the day passed, Jake noticed something wonderful happening on his ship. Human crew members and Zilani refugees were beginning to communicate despite the language barriers. Children from both species played simple games together, and adults shared pictures and drawings to explain their different worlds. Danny Walsh, the assistant engineer, spent hours working alongside Kira and learning from her technical knowledge. She taught him new ways to repair circuits, and he showed her human tools she had never seen before. They are not so different from us, Danny told Jake during dinner. They laugh and cry and worry about their children just like we do. Kira showed me pictures of her homeworld before it was destroyed, and it looked beautiful. Jake felt proud of his crew for accepting these strangers with such kindness. The fear and suspicion from earlier had been replaced by curiosity and friendship, but their peaceful time was interrupted when Helen Brooks detected new signals on her communication equipment. Her face went pale as she listened to the incoming transmissions. Captain, we have a problem, she said urgently. There are 3 large ships approaching our position, and they are broadcasting in the same language the Vorthans use. They will be here in less than 6 hours. Jake felt his stomach drop as he realized their sanctuary was about to be destroyed. The hunters had found their prey, and now the New Haven was caught in the middle of an ancient conflict. Kira appeared at his side, having heard Helen's announcement. Her crystal skin had turned darker with fear, but her voice remained steady. They have come for us, she said simply. The Vorthans will demand you give us to them, and they will destroy your ship if you refuse. You must let us go back to our damaged vessel. We will not let you suffer for our sake. Jake looked at this brave alien woman, who was willing to sacrifice herself and her people to protect humans she had known for only one day. In that moment, he made another decision that would echo across the galaxy. No, he said firmly. You are under the protection of this ship and this crew. We do not abandon people who need our help. The 3 Vorthan warships appeared on the New Haven sensors like dark metal sharks hunting in the deep ocean. Jake Morrison stood on his bridge and watched the enemy vessels approach with steady determination, even though he knew his single ship was no match for their combined firepower. Incoming transmission, Captain, Helen Brooks announced from her communication station. They are demanding to speak with you directly. Jake nodded and straightened his uniform. He had never faced an alien enemy before, but he would not show any weakness or fear. Put them through. The main screen flickered and showed the face of the Vorthan commander. The alien looked like a nightmare made real with dark metallic skin and red glowing eyes that seemed filled with hatred. Sharp teeth showed when he spoke, and his voice sounded like grinding metal. "I am Commander Zex of the Vorthan Empire," the alien said with contempt dripping from every word. "You are harboring criminal refugees who belong to us. Surrender the Zilani immediately or face the consequences." Jake stepped closer to the screen and spoke with calm authority. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel New Haven, the Beings. On my ship are refugees seeking humanitarian aid. They are under our protection and will not be handed over to you." Commander Zex laughed, and the sound made everyone on the bridge feel cold inside. "Humans think they can challenge the might of the Vorthan Empire. You are insects compared to our power. Give us the crystal vermin or watch your ship burn in space." The transmission ended and Jake turned to his crew. He saw fear in some faces, but also determination and loyalty that made him proud. These were good people who would stand by their principles even when facing death. "All hands prepare for battle," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "We are about to face an enemy that wants to harm innocent refugees. Remember what we stand for and why we became explorers of the stars." Lisa Carter began preparing the weapon systems while Ben Parker worked to get maximum power from the engines. Dr. Rodriguez started setting up emergency medical stations, and Helen Brooks monitored all communication channels for any signs of helping. The cargo bay where the Zilani refugees waited, Kira gathered her people around her. The children were frightened by the battle preparations, but the adults understood what was happening. "The humans are risking their lives for us," one of the older Zilani said with amazement. "No other species has ever shown us such kindness." Kira felt tears of gratitude in her crystal eyes. She had expected humans to abandon them when danger appeared, but instead they were preparing to fight. "Impossible odds to protect strangers. There must be something we can do to help them," she said to her people. "They have given us everything and asked for nothing in return, eh?" Young Zilani named Ren, who was barely more than a child, spoke up with excitement. "The human ships have good basic systems, but we could make them much better. Our people have always been skilled with technology." Kira realized that Ren was right. While the humans had been caring for them, the Zilani had learned much about the New Haven's design and capabilities. Their technical knowledge could give the ship a fighting chance against superior numbers. "Quickly," she told her people. "Help me access their main systems. We will give these brave humans the best gifts we can." Meanwhile, on the bridge, Jake watched the Vorthan ships move into attack formation. The enemy vessels were larger and more heavily armed than anything in the human fleet. Each one could probably destroy the New Haven on its own. "Enemy ships are charging weapons," Lisa reported with tension in her voice. "They will be in firing range in 3 minutes. Ben Parker suddenly looked up from his engineering station with surprise and confusion. "Captain, something strange is happening to our systems. Power levels are increasing across the board, and I'm seeing modifications to our shields and weapons that were not there before." Jake felt amazed as he watched his ship's capabilities improve in real time. Somehow the damaged vessel they had rescued was transforming into something far more powerful than it had ever been. "It is the Zilani," Helen said with wonder in her voice. "They are upgrading our systems while we watch. Our weapons are now 20% more effective, and our shields are twice as strong as they were 5 minutes ago." The first Vorthan attack came like lightning striking from the darkness. Energy beams that should have cut through the New Haven's hull were deflected by shields that sparkled with crystal patterns. The human ship shook but survived the assault without serious damage. "Return fire," Jake ordered, and felt satisfaction as his improved weapons struck the lead Vorthan vessel with unexpected force. The enemy ship staggered under the impact, and its commander's face showed shock on the screen. "Impossible," Commander Zex snarled. "How can inferior beings resist our power?" The battle became a deadly dance in space as the New Haven used its improved speed and maneuverability to avoid the heavier Vorthan ships. Jake's crew fought with skill and courage while their Zilani passengers worked frantically to enhance every system they could reach during the most intense part of the fight, a hull Breach opened in Section 7 and alarms warned that Tony Martinez was trapped inside. The young crew member would die within minutes if someone did not reach Himren. The young Zelani left his work on the ship's systems and ran toward the damaged section. His crystal body could survive in the vacuum of space for short periods, and he reached Tony just as the human's air supply was running out. "Hold on," Ren said in his broken English as he pulled Tony to safety. "We help each other now." Tony looked at the alien child who had risked his life to save a human and felt tears in his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for everything." The battle continued for 2 hours with neither side able to achieve decisive victory. The New Haven was faster and more maneuverable thanks to Zelani improvements, but the Vorthans had superior numbers and firepower finally. Jake realized they could not win through direct combat. "Set course for the asteroid belt," he ordered Lisa. "We will use the rocks for cover and try to lose them in the maze." The ship raced toward a field of spinning rocks and metal debris that stretched for thousands of kilometers in every direction. The Vorthan vessels followed, but had to slow down to avoid collisions with the larger asteroids. "They are falling behind," Helen reported with relief. "Our improved sensors are helping us navigate through the field faster than they can follow." As the New Haven disappeared into the asteroid maze, Jake felt both victory and concern. They had escaped immediate destruction, but Commander Zex would not give up the hunt easily. "We have bought ourselves time," he told his crew, "but this fight is far from over." In the cargo bay, Kira approached him with gratitude and worry in her crystalline features. "Captain Morrison, you and your people have shown courage beyond anything we expected. But now the Vorthans know that humans will protect refugees. They will see your entire species as a threat to their expansion." Jake looked at this remarkable alien woman who had started as a desperate refugee and was now becoming something like a partner in an impossible situation. "Then we will face that threat together," he said with determination. "Your people and mine have already proven we are stronger, working side by side than we ever were alone." 3 months after the battle with Commander Zex, the news of Jake Morrison's actions had spread throughout human space like wildfire. Some people called him a hero, while others said he was a dangerous fool who had put all humanity at risk by protecting alien refugees. Captain Sue Adams read the reports about the New Haven while her merchant ship Golden Star traveled between the outer colonies. She commanded a small crew of traders and explorers who made their living carrying supplies to remote human settlements. "What do you think about this Morrison fellow?" her first officer Carl Murphy asked as they shared dinner in the ship's small galley. "The news feeds are calling him everything from a saint to a traitor." Sue looked out at the stars through the galley window and thought about the stories she had heard. "I think he did what any decent person would do when faced with children who were starving. The politics can work themselves out later." 2 days later, Sue's ship detected a distress signal from an unknown vessel drifting near a dead solar system. The energy patterns were similar to the ones described in reports about Solani technology. "Captain, we have found another refugee ship," her sensor operator Janet Lewis reported. "There are life signs aboard, but the vessel appears to be losing power." Sue made her decision without hesitation. "Change course to intercept. If there are more Zilani out there, then they need help just like the ones Morrison found." The Golden Star approached the damaged alien vessel and established communication with the survivors. There were 18 Zilani aboard, including several children and an elderly leader named Vel, who spoke better human language than most of his people. "We heard about the human captain who saved our cousins," Vel told Sue through the communication system. "We have been searching for him, but our ship is too damaged to make the journey." Sue brought the refugees aboard her ship and was amazed by their gentle nature and incredible technical skills. Like the Zilani on the New Haven, these survivors began improving the Golden Star's systems within hours of coming aboard. Meanwhile, Commander Rick Thompson was patrolling the border regions in his military vessel Defender when he received new orders from headquarters. He was to watch for Zilani refugees and report their locations to Central Command for proper handling. Rick was a career military officer who always followed orders, but something about these instructions bothered him. The reports about Morrison's encounter suggested the Zilani were peaceful refugees, not dangerous criminals. When Rick's ship detected a small Zilani transport carrying 26 survivors, including many injured people. He faced the same choice that Jake Morrison had confronted months earlier. "Sir, should we report this to headquarters as ordered?" His communications officer, Linda Foster Astrick, looked at the readings showing wounded aliens who desperately needed medical attention. He thought about his oath to protect innocent life, and made his decision. "No, we will help them first and report later," he said. "Prepare the medical bay and contact Dr. Stevens to get ready for alien patients." Across human space, similar scenes were playing out as more captains and crews encountered Zilani refugees. Some followed official orders to report the aliens to authorities, but many chose to help first and deal with consequences later. The rescued Zilani proved to be remarkable allies in ways no human had expected. Their crystal-like biology allowed them to work in dangerous environments that would kill humans. They could repair damaged equipment in the vacuum of space and survive radiation levels that were fatal to other species. More importantly, their artistic sensibilities began influencing human culture in beautiful ways. Zilani music sounded like crystal bells singing in harmony, and their visual art used patterns of light that created new forms of beauty. Dr. Amy Rodriguez on the New Haven made breakthrough discoveries about Zilani medicine. Their natural resistance to radiation and ability to heal quickly from injuries could teach humans new ways to treat diseases and wounds. In return, human medical knowledge helped the Zilani deal with health problems that had plagued their species for generations. The combination of both medical traditions created treatments that neither species could have developed alone. Jake Morrison found his ship had become the unofficial headquarters for what people were calling the Human-Zilani Alliance. Refugee ships arrived weekly seeking shelter and assistance. Kira was no longer just a desperate refugee, but had become Jake's advisor on alien affairs. Her knowledge of Vorthan military tactics and the location of other refugee groups made her invaluable to the growing resistance movement. "There are more than 3,000 Zilani survivors scattered across this region of the galaxy," she told Jake during one of their planning meetings. "Most are hiding in damaged ships or on dead worlds where the Vorthans cannot easily find them." Jake studied the star charts that showed reported Zilani locations. "If we could find them all and bring them together, they could form a network of intelligence about Vorthan movements. Your people know this part of space better than any human." The idea of creating an organized refugee network appealed to Kira, but she worried about the dangers. "The Vorthans are already hunting humans who help us. If they discover a formal alliance, they will see it as a declaration of war. Maybe it is time for that war to begin," Jake said quietly. The Vorthans were expanding toward human space anyway. "At least now we will have allies who understand how they think and fight." Helen Brooks had been monitoring communications across human space, and she brought disturbing news to Jake and his senior staff. "Captain, I am picking up increased Vorthan military activity in sectors near human colonies. They are positioning ships for what looks like a major offensive." Lisa Carter checked the defensive capabilities of human forces in the threatened areas and shook her head grimly. "Our colonies have minimal protection. Most of our military ships are designed for exploration and patrol work, not full-scale war." Dr. Rodriguez had been treating injured refugees for months, and she understood the scope of Vorthan brutality better than anyone. "The beings who destroyed entire Zilani worlds will not hesitate to attack human settlements. We need to be ready for anything." Ben Parker had been working with Zilani engineers to upgrade human ships and weapons. The technological fusion was producing remarkable results, but it would take time to modify entire fleets. "If we had 6 months, we could transform human defenses into something that could challenge the Vorthans," he told Jake. "But if they attack now, we will be fighting with whatever we have." Jake looked around the table at his crew and the Zilani leaders who had joined them. 3 months ago, he had made a simple decision to help hungry children, and now he was planning for interstellar war. "Then we will fight with what we have," he said with determination. Human courage combined with Zilani knowledge has already proven effective against their forces. "We just need to do it on a larger scale." Kira placed her crystal hand on Jake's shoulder in a gesture of support and friendship. "Your species amazes." U.S. Captain Morrison You could have lived in peaceful isolation for many more years, but instead, you chose to stand with strangers who needed help. That is what humans do, Jake replied. We do not always make the smart choice, but we try to make the right one. Outside the windows of the New Haven, the stars looked the same as they had when this journey began, but everything else had changed completely. A desperate plea for one night of shelter had become the foundation for an alliance that would determine the future of both species. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the rebuilt New Haven and watched the largest fleet in human history prepare for the most important battle their species had ever fought. 6 months had passed since his encounter with Kira and her refugees, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The Human-Zilani alliance now included over 2,000 rescued refugees working alongside human crews on 300 ships. The technological fusion of both species had created vessels that were faster, stronger, and more advanced than anything either group could have built alone. Admiral, we are receiving final position reports from all fleet commanders, Communications Officer Helen Brooks announced from her station. She wore the new uniform that showed her rank in the combined forces, and her voice carried confidence that had grown through months of successful operations. Jake looked at the tactical display showing human and Zilani ships positioned around Earth itself. The Vorthan Empire had finally decided to end the refugee problem by destroying the human homeworld and everyone who supported the alliance. Status report from all sectors, Jake ordered as he prepared for the battle that would decide the fate of both species. Captain Sue Adams reported from her position near the moon with a mixed fleet of merchant vessels and military ships. Golden Sector ready, Admiral. My Zilani partners have upgraded our shields and weapons beyond anything the Vorthans have seen before. Commander Rick Thompson led the outer defense ring with fast attack ships that could strike and retreat quickly. Defender Squadron in position, Admiral. We have Zilani navigators who know every asteroid and hiding place in the system. The most remarkable change was in the refugee camps that had become joint colonies throughout human space. Zilani families lived alongside human neighbors, sharing knowledge and culture while their children played together and learned from each other. Kira stood beside Jake on the bridge wearing the uniform of strategic coordinator for the alliance. The desperate refugee who had begged for one night of shelter was now an equal partner in shaping the future of galactic civilization. Vorthan fleet detected entering our system, sensor operator Danny Walsh reported. He had learned to read both human and Zilani instruments during his months working with crystal engineers. 300 ships, including their largest battleships. Jake felt his heart beat faster as the enemy force appeared on the main screen. Commander Zex had brought enough firepower to destroy Earth 10 times over, but he had not expected to face a unified alliance of two species working together. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison, Jake announced over the fleet communication system. Today we fight not just for human survival, but for the principle that different peoples can live together in peace. The Vorthans believe only their way of life has value, but we will show them the strength that comes from cooperation. The first Vorthan ships entered weapons range and immediately began firing on the outer defense positions. Commander Rick Thompson's fast attack squadron responded with hit-and-run tactics that confused the enemy formations. Their weapons are more powerful than our intelligence indicated, Rick reported as his ships scattered to avoid concentrated fire. But our improved shields are holding better than expected. The battle spread throughout the solar system as Vorthan forces tried to break through the Alliance defenses. Captain Sue Adams led merchant ships armed with salvaged weapons against enemy cruisers, while military vessels used Zilani navigation systems to appear and disappear among the asteroid belts. On the New Haven, Dr. Amy Rodriguez worked with Zilani healers to treat wounded from both species. The medical fusion of human and alien knowledge saved lives that would have been lost in previous conflicts. Casualties are lower than predicted, she reported to Jake during a brief pause in the fighting. Zilani healing techniques combined with human medical equipment are incredibly effective. The battle reached its climax when Commander Zex brought his personal battleship into Earth orbit and began preparing to destroy major human cities. His massive vessel was larger than anything in the Alliance fleet and heavily armored. Against conventional weapons, all ships concentrate fire on the Vorthan flagship. Jake ordered, but he knew their combined weapons would not be enough to penetrate its defenses. At that moment, Ren, the young Zelani who had saved Tony Martinez months earlier, appeared on the bridge with an idea that only someone raised among crystal technology could conceive. Admiral Morrison, the Vorthan ship has powerful shields, but they are designed to stop energy weapons and solid projectiles, he said with excitement. Zelani crystal technology uses harmonic frequencies that could disrupt their defense grid. Jake looked at this brave young alien who had grown from a frightened refugee into a confident member of his crew. What do you need? Every Zelani on every ship must work together to create a resonance pattern that will make their shields collapse, Ren explained. It will leave us defenseless for several minutes, but it is our only chance. Kira understood the implications immediately. If this fails, the Vorthans will destroy our people completely. We will have no protection while we focus our energy on disrupting their shields. Jake made the decision that defined him as a leader who trusted his allies completely. Do it. All human ships will protect the Zelani while they work across the Alliance fleet. Every Zelani focused their natural crystal abilities on creating a harmonic frequency that would resonate with Vorthan shield technology. The effort required perfect coordination among thousands of individuals who had never attempted anything like it. The human ships formed protective formations around their Zelani partners and prepared to face the full fury of the Vorthan fleet without their alien allies to help them. For 10 minutes the battle raged with desperate intensity as human crews fought alone against superior numbers. Ships were damaged and lives were lost, but no one abandoned their Zelani friends who worked frantically to complete their resonance attack. Then, suddenly, Commander Zex's battleship began to shake as harmonic frequencies found the exact frequency needed to disrupt its shields. The massive vessel's defenses flickered and failed, leaving it vulnerable for the first time. All ships target the flagship now, Jake shouted, and every human weapon in the system focused fire on the enemy command ship. The Vorthan battleship exploded in a brilliant flash that could be seen from Earth's surface. Commander Zex and his command staff died, never understanding how inferior species had defeated their superior technology. The remaining Vorthan ships retreated in confusion and fear. They had lost their most powerful vessel and their commanding officer to an alliance they had dismissed as insignificant. Jake walked over to Kira and Ren, who were exhausted from their efforts but smiling with victory and relief. You saved our world and our species, he told them with deep gratitude. We saved each other, Kira replied. That is what allies do. In the months that followed, the Battle of Earth became known throughout the galaxy as the moment when cooperation defeated conquest. The Vorthan Empire retreated to their core systems and never again threatened species who sought to live in peace. Human Zelani colonies flourished as both peoples shared knowledge that benefited everyone. Children grew up speaking multiple languages and thinking in ways that neither